All right, hello, hello. Gonna be getting started shortly. Um, yeah, just waiting on some people to get in here. Sorry. Yeah, someone didn't respond to signed up, and then when I pinged them on the list, they didn't come. So we're now waiting on someone else. Bob Tresh is coming. Welcome, guys. Tam and Ted in the house. Lord Benedict, Meme Daddy. Of course, Bellacore, welcome, welcome. Also Cathay, yes. uh Hey, what's up, Luke? Trailer was so good. I know, right? I am super curious to see what they do with Cathay, honestly. Let's do this actually. While we're in this in between, we've got a lobby up currently. If I go ahead and switch on over, we're gonna be doing a little bit of King of the Hill while we discuss some multiplayer aspects of Total War Warhammer 3, do some wild, full-on tinfoil hat speculation. I should warn you, I am not an expert on the lore, the units, by any means. Yeah, I know there's various demon types that we can potentially talk about and kind of how the factions will play as a whole, which is stuff that we'll get into today. It's been a while since I've hosted King of the Hill, too. Let me just refresh on the rules for those of you guys who are curious. We'll get into all that Game 3 stuff in just a minute. But, yeah, the rules for King of the Hill. Let's see here. So, King of the Hill standard picking rules. The sitting king, in this case Killarinu, picks and double bans any faction, which they have not yet picked. Obviously, no one's played yet, so Killarinu picks double bans. Since he starts with the crown. So, we'll let them get into it there. In the meanwhile, welcome everyone. Three Kingdoms of Diplomacy. It'd be interesting. I definitely, in terms of campaign systems, I really hope they add more. For some factions, it really wouldn't make sense. But in terms of like region trading and some other stuff, definitely some of the diplomacy aspects from Three Kingdoms, I think, should make it in. You know, I would be a little leery of any of the concept art. I think some of the concept art that's floating around on like the subreddit right now and such is related to fan art. It's not necessarily official Games Workshop stuff, so I'd be a little bit careful about kind of setting your expectations based on what's floating around right now. I would definitely wait to see official word from Creative Assembly. But what I will say about Cathay is I'll link the video for you guys here in chat. And let's see. Games Workshop actually put out a video, the Warhammer TV, I should say. Warhammer 3, here we go. This one here, Designing Kislev and Cathay for Warhammer 3. So I'll go ahead and drop the link. Whoops. Let me do this here. Yes. Just give me a link there. Okay. They do talk about Cathay a tiny little bit towards the end of this video, and what they say is, yeah, what they say is that Cathay is, they talk a little bit about monsters and like kind of fantasy elements. For me, I think Cathay will most likely be the most fantasy of any of the human factions. Yeah, that I genuinely think they could potentially have some monsters in play, which is something, again, you look at like Bretonnia, the Empire, and even what we've seen of Kislev so far, there's really not a lot of big monsters, like single entity monsters especially. I mean, you have like the Demigryph Knights, Griffins, and Hippogriffs a little bit, like there's a tiny little bit of that fantasy element. Like the Grail Knights are kind of, you know, these fantasy knights, but they're still just knights, you know, on horseback. So Yeah, give dwarves back their mountain holds. For sure, the region trading is something that I really, really think needs to be in the campaign. And more than that, there's a system for one of the factions that and I'm really hoping that we eventually get the Dogs of War faction, the Southern Realms factions as well, like as DLC. I would honestly buy them as DLC for Game 3. I think it would make a lot of sense since they have some kind of associations with like ogre mercenaries. I know like ogres occasionally like journey to the Empire to be mercenaries, right? So once the ogres are in, and I'm assuming ogres will be their own DLC, then Dogs of War would be a great kind of final, like end of the road DLC to tie a bunch of factions together and give this like hodgepodge roster of mercenaries, along with a core of some like well-equipped humans, especially infantry. We don't really have any infantry-based human factions, which, like with elite infantry, and I highly doubt Kislev will be that way. I mean, it looks like they had the one kind of higher-tier infantry there, but even still, like, they primarily seem like they're going to be a cavalry faction, which is fine. I mean, that's up my alley. But it would be cool to see Dogs of War kind of be, like, because you think about mercenary infantry from history, these well-equipped, professional soldiers that have paid for this really nice gear, could potentially be interesting. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah, demons degenerate crumbling, so I'm really, really hoping they rework that mechanic as well, in terms of gameplay battle mechanics. Yeah, I want to see some changes to crumbling, and if the if the demons have like a similar type of mechanic, it should definitely have some changes. Slanesh best DLC faction. I think Slanesh will be definitely a release faction. Obviously, Lord packs are going to be interesting in this game because how complete the demon rosters will be on release. Demon rosters aren't that big to begin with, but it kind of depends, and Sparty was talking about this a little bit in his stream just now. They said they're not going to be pulling stuff from Age of Sigmar and the End Times, but at the same time, they already have done a few things. Like, I want to say Mournghouls. Were Mournghouls ever in Fantasy? I want to say that's an Age of Sigmar unit they kind of just, like, took and added. I could be wrong about that, but you guys will have to let me know. Yeah, like multiple stages of crumbling would be nice, or else having crumbling give more significant debuffs, or I don't know. You really just need something, in my opinion. Yeah, lots of melee infantry and monsters. I'll be interested, because I'm assuming, based on, the FAQ, and I talked about this in my video as well, that the demons, you'll have demons and warriors mixed in 4 god-specific factions, so you'll have the Khorne faction will have, like we saw in the trailer, it'll have warriors of Khorne, like riding the Skull Crushers, it'll have some demons of Khorne, and in that, I don't know, because you think about Chaos, warriors of Chaos only have Marauder Javelins, right? I really doubt they'll give any of the Marauder units, maybe, you never know. When, like, Khorne, you have, like, the Zangors, right? Which, again, I don't know that they'll add them. Sorry, just adjusting my mic a little bit here. Mournghouls are Forge World. Oh, okay. They were in Fantasy. Okay. I was mistaken then. Yeah, maybe as a pre-order bonus, I could potentially see that, although I doubt it. I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look at these builds here for today. Orion is a waifu area. We've got some Blade Riders, spears here. We've got Lost Sylvan Knights, and quite the vanguard, Dryads, along with, some more Glade Riders here against the Tomb Kings. Oop, coming in with a donation. Tamington with the 50. Let's get this party started. Hey, big thanks, man. Much appreciated. Generous as always. Oh yeah, we are in for some good times. And honestly, regardless of what happens, like 2 human factions, Cathay and Kislev both, Gonna be awesome. Got some Tomb King's cavalry over here in the main kind of body of the Tomb King's army. A little bit of defensive position with skeleton warriors. Got some skeleton spearmen, Archon the Black, or some summons, Ushabti great bows, Eyes of the Desert, and 2 screaming skull meme pults. Quack, quack. Oh, there we go. Good to see you guys. Yeah, Car Horseman, very good, honestly. Great missile block chance, 35%. Yeah, I actually thought it was higher. Yeah, just 35%. 38 weapon strength, though, very solid. Just kind of mounted Empire state troops with better weapon strength, more or less is what these guys are. A little bit better armor, too. Flock has arrived. Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. Rubber Duck War, by the way, of course, has his own channel. Great guy. Definitely would recommend. If you like my channel, you'll definitely like his as well. But, yeah, already opening up shots, and you can see immediately targeting Ariel. That is the right idea. She is quite the menace to Tomb King society at this point. She's going to drop a little bit of apotheosis on herself. Dryads get tied up in the summon, but Orion doesn't really care about those puny skeletons. He's just going to push straight through. In terms of, yeah, the kind of builds here, Dark Riders unfortunately don't have a charge order. They could have actually got a pretty good charge there directly on those skeleton warriors they had pathed in, but here they are going to get a nice charge on those Nakara horsemen, do some okay damage, although there are skeleton warriors in support there. Lost Sylvan Knights we do need to keep an eye on. Looks like they're still sweeping in from the flank over on the far side. But a nice Doom and Darkness Overcast actually only hits the 1 unit of Dryads. Orion obviously not going to care about leadership whatsoever, and man, Orion is literally like as tall as Ushabti. That's crazy. I always forget how tall he is. He's a large lad. Big boy for sure. Some bombardment going to be coming down as well. A little bit of a Hawk's Talon there from Orion. Did a number on those Ushabti Great Bows, but they were able to pull back and away. Nakara Horseman holding up okay. We've got some Realm of Souls kicking off, healing up various Tomb King's units a little bit. Tomb Guard are all relatively healthy here, which could potentially be a problem for the Wood Elves. The Dryads, they will blend through skeletons. They're going to have a little bit of a harder time against Tomb Guard, but oh man, it looks like the Ushabti summon already been popped, which means Realm of Souls is, 3 tiers already gone. Pretty interesting. The Tomb Kings have gotten the majority of their healing they will get, and that summon is a little bit harder to trap someone now with the Ushabti summon because it's such a long wind-up timer. Yes. Yeah, they just need to rework it. They could do a number of different things, honestly, but yeah, that's one thing, is to make maybe make like multiple tiers of crumbling so that the leadership effects you actually notice. But a nice Spirit Leech here on the Sylvan Knights as they kind of wheel around this formation. They've taken a decent amount of damage so far. And one thing to note is the Sepulchral Stalkers here, the Eyes of the Desert, their missile attack actually does magic damage. So if they can get set and use their little gaze attack on the Lost Sylvan Knights here, they'll be able to generate insane value. And it looks like that is what Bob is trying to do. Unfortunately for him, Killerina is doing a great job with these Dryads, just continuously harassing, making sure they keep their attack order on those Sepulchral Stalkers, not allowing them to fire. Meanwhile, Lost Sylvan Knights do get up and around to get into those Ushabti Great Bows in the center. There's not really a lot the Tomb Kings can do about Orion, which is unfortunate. Just keep summoning skeletons, basically, is Arcan's solution at this point, but that, even still, will only last you so long. Oh man, Eyes of the Desert do get a nice shot, though. Finally getting some damage on the Lost Sylvan Knights there. Take down quite a few of the models, not before they're able to finish off one of those units of Ushabti Great Bows. But man, firing that point blank in melee as well is pretty strong. They don't have magic attacks in melee, only the ranged attacks, so they definitely need to try and disengage there. Unfortunately, they are quite a bit slower than the Lost Sylvan Knights there. The Tomb Kings are slowly running out of units to protect, but at the same time, they've kind of mostly won the center pocket, other than obviously Orion and another Spirit Leech. That is going to be pretty backbreaking, depending on the damage ticks, if it does the damage. And you can see there that the Lost Sylvan Knights do take a little bit from it. They actually do rout, and a Soul Stealer comes in from Ariel. She's going to be healing herself somewhat with that. Does some decent damage to the Eyes of the Desert as well. Also hits this last Bo Shabti that is going to go into Crumbling. Likely will go down here. I just don't think that that Bob has enough to finish off Orion at this point. Like, in terms of the tools he has left that can realistically do a considerable amount of damage, Eyes of the Desert, if they use their ranged attack, is one of them. They're only 50 speed, Orion's 55. If he chooses to chase them, he could probably keep up with them. I mean, granted, he is exhausted at this point. They are only fading, which is, like, tired, basically, right? Yeah. What do I think there is any chance of, yeah. Do I think there's any chance of a larger co-op? Potentially. I'm not sure. I don't know. I really don't know. I can't say too much, but... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Kislev, Empire, Bretonia, Cathay, all fighting to the bitter. It's going to be awesome. I'm really curious to see what they do with Norska, too, because Norska, really, I would love for them to expand and give more stuff to, and, like, make even more distinct from the other Chaos factions. And I do think there's a few things they could do to help with that. I did a whole video pitching Surtha Ek, basically, as a legendary lord. To add, he could be like a ranged, like a javelin lord, basically, like Orion. You see Orion's got a javelin here. He uses, he's got a spear, basically, that he throws, right? But essentially he uses it as a javelin. Blast the Tomb Kings did go down there. But, yeah, I like Norska to have some more distinct flavor. I mean, in terms of Chaos right now, other than not having, you know, regular access to Hell Cannons, they have the best ranged of any Chaos. They've got the Javelin Hunters, got the Throwing Axe Hunters, also quite a good monster focus as well, with kind of the ice theme going on. I do think they could give more, like maybe a Famir, you know, Lord level caster. They could give just various things. You know, there's quite a bit they could do there. Ice Wolf Chariots for Lords. Like, I would say it would be great for Surtha Ek to have a unique Ice Wolf Chariot mount, but maybe you could give it to the other Lords as well. But yeah, more Lord types, more hero types, all that jazz. GG's, though. Yeah. Orion just too strong. Too strong. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I literally would buy 20 DLCs for this game. What do I think about the crumbling mechanic? Get out, Black Phillip. I already talked about it. Yes, I do think that crumbling is a totally valid mechanic. No, in all seriousness, because the demons kind of have like a crumbling-ish mechanic, right? Like, I really hope it gets reworked for Game 3. It really needs to get reworked, I should say. Tzeentch for sure. I'm a big fan of, like, the weird stuff. So, Tzeentch will be the one for me, for sure. But let me go ahead and check over here. Let's also get J Phoenix in next. Yeah, Chaos Dwarfs will be interesting. I think they'll have like a lot of chaff. Then it'll be like basically like dwarfs with even more expensive stuff, but also a little bit of chaff and magic, basically, and some monsters. So basically like dwarfs, but better. If they want to make all the money, Yukisa, I personally, this is just me being a big fan of like Shogun 2 back in the day. I would buy the crap out of a Nippon DLC. If anyone from CA is watching, like, if you want to make all the money, please just sell it, because we would buy it. I'm sure everyone would buy it. And like yeah, the Dogs of War, like I mentioned, all those things people would buy. Crumbling has frostbite. There we go. Death Animations DLC. I'm a fan of that. That sounds like the 1,000 Ways to Die DLC. I'm a fan of that. Chaos Dwarfs sound OP. What I'll say is, kind of the way they need to be balanced is that their shooting won't be as good as the dwarfs. Like, the dwarfs will always have the best shooting in the game, or at least they should always have the best shooting in the game, because they rely primarily on that as a means of dealing damage. Like, yes, they have good heavy infantry, but it's not really good attack-oriented heavy infantry. But anyway, let's see here. Okay, and let me go ahead and lock in a map here. Let's go for a nice bright one, like, Karak Bufdar looks good, or Karak Ungor. Yeah, the Kurgans, maybe, and see, the Kurgans is one, the Kurgans, are they, like, associated with Norska, or, because I know when... Like, one of the lines for the Norscan lords, I think, is like, are you, like, Hung or Kurgan, right? Or, I want to say, are they associated with, like, the Marauders at all? Like, could they possibly be, like, a Marauder subfaction? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not big up on the lore. Yeah, I needed to see the full map for sure. Hey, what's up, Davina? Yeah, Falcon also in the house. Welcome. Everyone is a weeb for Nippon. I want to see, like, fantasy samurai fighting demons. I think that just the visual spectacle of that would be amazing. Tribe east of Norska. Okay, yeah, see, so maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like a Norska update, they give them some Kurgan units. That sounds cool. I'd be down. I don't know, maybe you don't associate them with Norska and they could be their own kind of sub-faction in a similar vein to Norska, but, you know, distinct from them. I don't know. Supposed to be skirmish faction. Yeah, Kislev is like a mobile missile faction though. Like they're gonna be like missile and cavalry, right? Oh, okay. Okay, I see. As far as I know, Nippon, I don't know if there's much lore at all, but we assume that it's made up of humans. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I really am glad they're not adding stuff from Age of Sigmar. Like, the Sigmarines are just a no for me, but some of the stuff is cool. Like, the Sea Elves are actually pretty cool, in my opinion. Ideneth Deepkin. Human Wood Elves, then kinda, yeah, like, they'll kind of be the light attack humans. Like, fast attack humans, basically. Yes. Yeah, the horse archers. I'm hoping that they should be at least the best human skirmish cav in the game, which will sadly put my pistoliers, you know, fully to rest. I mean, I'll still be using them, of course, but yeah, no. In the trailer, they just had hand weapons and bows, and I talked about this. I actually recorded some games with the Kislev mod. I'm gonna be uploading over the next few days. I talked about this a little bit in that video, about how I'm not sure, they only really showed off like 8 confirmed units, right? If you think about, there was the Ice Guards, Ungol Infantry, that could come in multiple variants, but we'll just stick them in one for now. So Ice Guards, Ungol Infantry, Ungol Cavalry, the Bear Cavalry, Lancers, Winged Hussars, right? So that's 5. Yeah, and I think that's it, right? Potentially a generic lord or whoever that dude was. Yeah, I mean, they already showed that the greater demons use the updated models, which I'm a fan of, for sure, but... Great sword tier unit, the Kreml Guard. Yeah, see, the Kreml Guard I'm not sure about, because they in the trailer, they had that kind of elite-looking infantry, but they had, like, two-handed maces, right? And then they also had a sword and shield variant. So... I'm not 100% sure. I guess, yeah, that's right. So that would be a 6th. So they showed off 6 units, right? 6 distinct units. And we could potentially break those up into some variants, but that's not even close to a full roster. So I'm waiting to see what other units Kislev will get access to. I'm really hoping they have gunpowder, but here's, keeping our fingers crossed. The Queen, Tsarina. Katarine, right? Is it Katarine or Katarina? Katarina, that's right. I think I might have called her Katarine in my video, but yeah, it's all good. But, well, I was going to drop this in chat. Anyway, go ahead and watch this video if you guys haven't seen this yet. Very interesting. Yeah, later, I would say. Watch this Designing Kislev in Cathay for Warhammer. The designers from Games Workshop talk about working with Creative Assembly and give a little bit of a hint about what we'll maybe see with Cathay. Yeah, I would think there's at least one Flying Lord unit for Kislev. I don't know, maybe. Maybe they'll have access to Griffins or Hippogriffs or, something else. I'm not sure. Oh, these guys are waiting on me. How long have they been waiting on me? That's fine. I'm having fun discussing this stuff because it's awesome. I'm hyped. Hope you all are hyped. I'm super, super hyped. By the way, if you do want to pre-order the game and help support the channel, I have an official affiliate link store. You can find it in the description below, nexus.gg/dovplays. You buy the game there. You can pre-order it on Steam, get a Steam key, and you will still get the pre-order bonus. Yeah, you can order there, and I get a cut of the proceeds. You help support the channel. I recently upgraded to a 3080. You guys may have seen a difference in the videos I've been uploading recently. A little bit hard to stream with that amount of quality, but yeah. Nine months, yeah. If they are gonna slowly drip feed us information like they should, I'll be hyped for 9 months. But ooh, another donation coming in. Ryan G with the $5. I didn't quite see your message there. Let me pull up Streamlabs. Oh, here it is. You feel that Norscan needs a cost rebalance across the board in MP. Manticores increase, but skirmishers and hound units decrease. I think Manticores do need a cost increase for everyone. That's true. I think Manticores could go up to like 900, 950 for all factions, and that would be fine. That would be totally fine. In terms of the rest of Norska's stuff, I do think... I don't know. The Hound units is an interesting one, because light cavalry can scale really crazy out of control if it's too cheap, but at the same time... Like, a lot of... You look at other factions, Hound units... Oh, thanks for joining, Sashimi. Very, very kind of you to join as a member. Supposed to play first, got caught up in my day. Oh, no worries, man. No worries. So that's you there. Red Wedding Planner. No worries. I can definitely get you in. I'm going to be streaming more of this, going forward. More King of the Hills and other stuff. By the way, also the Warhammer World Championship also started its signups. announcement kind of got lost in all the teasing and so on. But yeah, if you guys do want to participate in a massive worldwide tournament that has multiple stages, and we're even looking at potentially prizes for the people who, you know, progress through the group phases, definitely check that out. I can just grab a link to the Discord in just a second, but yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the channel. And yeah, let's take a look here at this build for Killer Renu. I'm a big fan of the Princess on the Griffin. It's not crazy strong, but it's here, and it's relatively cheap. Decent weapon strength, a good charge. You also have a missile attack, so it's kind of like an armor-piercing eagle, basically. A high mage, 2 Phoenix Guard, and then some Lothern Sea Guard. We've got a bunch of spearmen and 2 silver helms with shields up against Warriors of Chaos, Summoners of Rage here, Chaos Marauders. We've got Big Bird, Sarthrel the Everwatcher, and let's all give a round of applause to Sarthrel here. Yes, yes, our beloved Greater Demon who has been so lonely and haggard. This is the old Lord of Change model, right? And the one that was in the trailer is the new Lord of Change model. You saw it had like 3 eyes. It actually has 2 heads. Just looks way more interesting than Big Bird. Don't get me wrong. Big Bird's an old friend. He's been one of my favorite legendary lords in Total War Warhammer 2 for quite a long time, but round of applause, Big Bird. You've held the line for quite some time in terms of the Demons of Chaos in Total War Warhammer, and soon your friends will come to replace you, and that's just the way of things. Yeah, again, I have a video coming up about Kislev. I definitely recommend you guys check that out. It's going to be a battle with using the Kislev mod, where I also kind of discuss my vision for Kislev, but just kind of a quick preview. One of the big things I talk about there in terms of campaign is the feel of Kislev's campaign. I want it to kind of feel like playing Western Roman Empire in Attila or in Barbarian Invasion from Rome 1, where basically you're going to lose lots of territory, you're going to lose battles, but basically your goal is to just lose, you know, as well, quote-unquote, as you can, right? And to try and just hold back as much as possible until at such a point where you can kind of rebound and push back and reclaim your territory. But anyway, this Chaos line here, whole bunch of infantry. I did spy a Gorby's chariot in there. But wow, look at this. Big Bird potentially was going to get mauled here by the Princess, but instead, Overcast Final Transmutation. I mean, granted, it is just on the Princess, but that does a pretty considerable amount of damage considering the Griffin does not have a lot of HP, but nice apotheosis there. We'll be able to sustain and heal. Summoners of Rage have not been able to find a home, as this is primarily just all kind of defensive infantry. Spearmen, you know, Lothern Sea Guard, also pretty decent melee defense at 44 with the anti-large and the charge defense. Chariots even still are getting loose and getting some good damage in. Marauders there, and the Chaos Warriors in the center trading pretty well into the Spearmen. But yeah, so far, Gay Phoenix has been able to push through. Killer Renu doing a decent job kind of managing the attack here. This is a pretty big, important center engagement. The Silver Helms get rounded off. We've also got 2 Exalted Heroes on horseback. And yeah, the Phoenix Guard, though, are just going to come in and clean house. Phoenix Guard's weapon strength is relatively low, though. They're not going to be great at fighting, even like these basic Chaos Warriors, to be honest. In terms of other halberds, like Blackguards would be much better in that role. But anyway, Lord of Change for Big Bird. Yeah, right, a more powerful and annoying version of Sarthrel. Big Bird's always been meta in certain situations because of his missile resistance. Always. Even in Game 1 when Chaos was just objectively terrible at the beginning of Game 1. Oh man, yes! Oh, I love this animation. He literally, like, grabs a dude in his tentacles in the staff, like, whips him around and slams him into the ground. I don't know if you guys caught that. We just kind of caught the tail end of it here, but we'll keep it close for Big Bird. Let's see if he can proc another one of those. Man, maybe not. That was awesome. I love that animation. Not a lot of people know about that matched animation, but it's a hilarious one. Probably one of my favorites. That one and the Giants headbutting each other is probably my 2 favorite matched combat animations. Yeah. Princess, though, just chilling back for the time being. She's used up quite a bit of her ammo shooting probably the Summoners of Rage, I would imagine. But she's going to have to come down and start cycle charging some of these warriors soon. Like, I'd probably pull the Princess up and around if I were Killerinu. Maybe try and swing out to this flank and start cycle charging some of these Chaos Warriors and, like, terrifying away, like, some of these Marauders and so on. Some quick hit-and-run charges would be able to do it. And even, like, these Summoners of Rage here themselves are not immune to psychology. They do cause fear, but right now even a quick rear charge on them from the Griffin could potentially terrify them away. But it looks like instead she's going to peel, try and go after these Chariots here. That's potentially pretty risky. There's not a lot of support nearby, and the Exalted Hero and the Dragon Ogres also are in a position to maybe try and strike back. But it looks like the Princess will be able to squeak away there. Phoenix Guard holding the line for now. Exalted Hero looks like he's going to be coming after this High Mage, though, so she's got to be careful. Phoenix does a good job getting in contact with the caster there. That is a dangerous situation, and it looks like the Princess also getting pretty aggressive here. I mean, granted, the Summoners of Rage are done for at this point, and the Gorby's Chariots are also pretty low. The infantry's been able to mostly win out, but like this unit of Chaos Warriors, 105 kills, probably great damage value, just grinding through the elf flank here. Yeah, 800 damage value. Probably paid for themselves. I don't know, maybe they started out with 1 chevron, but even still they probably paid for themselves, which for shielded infantry to pay for itself, I mean, usually their job is just to kind of hold and grind, right? But actually doing quite well here. Will it matter? A lot in the late game is the question. The High Mage is able to flee, but the Exalted Hero is still hot in pursuit, and the Hero Squad for Warriors of Chaos is quite healthy still, and that could be a problem. The fact that both of these Exalted Heroes are still in pretty good shape, and Princess only has 60 armor up on her Griffin. Hey, Wicked's here. What's up, man? Hey, thanks for the link. Yeah, a lot of these units are starting to shatter, though. It's looking pretty grim, Bones, and a back-breaking final transmutation on the blob of these 2 Phoenix Guard is going to just chew up a bunch of the models that are left. The Phoenix Guard, or sorry, the Silver Helms also charge into that pocket. That is really rough. They're going to take some damage from that as well. At the same time, though, this Exalted Hero might be done for. Princess is chasing. Lothar and Seaguard are going to stand and hold, get some clutch volleys into the Marauder Horsemen here. The Spearmen getting charged, taking one for the team. Maybe, I don't know, maybe these Phoenix Guard can pull it back. That was a pretty big swing on the balance of power, but the Princess just comes in and just dominates this Gorby's Chariot. Literally, Griffin grabs it with its 4 claws and just manually dismantles that contraption. I just don't know, though, with the Exalted Heroes. I mean, the one probably came back. Maybe not. Maybe he actually got chased all the way off by those Silver Helms, but this one here is still quite healthy, which is potentially a problem. Nice quick hit-and-run terror route on those Marauders from the Princess. That's exactly what she needs to do, and one of them actually shatters there, which is just awesome. But you got to be careful. That Exalted Hero is coming in for a charge, and it wouldn't take much, just a couple of hits, and oh man, he nopes out of there because of the Phoenix Guard. Probably could have got away, Phoenix, she probably could have got away with a quick hit and run there, potentially. But Big Bird now comes under attack from the Princess, and even though he's got some missile resistance, Lothar and Seaguard are still going to shoot him a little bit, kind of do some extra chip damage here. But a nice little hit from the Princess. She is fully out of ammo as well, so High Elves are now starting to take the lead on the balance of power as units are coming back here. These Silver Helms are going to be clutch at chasing units in the late game since the Marauder Horsemen are gone. This Exalted Hero is kind of hung up on some Lothar and Seaguard here, but at this point it's these 2 Chaos Warriors plus Big Bird trying to hold out the Phoenix Guard. Yeah. They're feeling okay. No martial mastery, obviously, but a nice hit and run rear charge using these Silver Helms as kind of a mobile anvil. Although Big Bird might be able to do some damage back. If the Princess can finish him, that's going to be a big problem. Warriors of Chaos will start to have major terror issues. And with the Phoenix Guard kind of bracing, this Exalted Hero will just get cycle charged to death by the Princess. But nice charge there. Phoenix Guard were not braced, so they did not get any protection from that. But they just quickly turn around and finish Big Bird off. Yeah, she can get a big melee attack spike, it's true. And here, I mean, between the shooting and her charging around, she's generated 2,000 damage value, and she only costs, I mean, with no abilities whatsoever, she's super cheap. Like, I want to say it's something like 1,600 gold. So this is really, really good value, actually, in terms of a cost-effective, kind of cheap single entity, which High Elves don't have a lot of access to, especially since they no longer have Manticore summons, which is just amazing. But, yeah, Exalted Hero at this point going to be charging those Lothern Sea Guards. Ooh, when they get catapulted. Just wait until Big Bird's bros pull up. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Got these last unit of Marauders here getting chased off. Pretty much just the caster at this point. Yeah, these other Chaos Warriors are getting shattered by the Princess and by the Silver Helms. Soon the Exalted Hero is caught up on some stuff. I believe he has to engage now. Yeah, there's no chance for these Chaos Warriors. Victories in our grasp, you don't say. Come on, Princess. You got this. Just a quick charge. That's all you need. Oh man, Greater Demons are going to be good in multiplayer. Like, holy cow. It's interesting, though, with the recent changes to mass and such, like, I'm wondering how Creative Assembly is going to implement some of these things. J Phoenix Guard, right? Yeah. I don't know. I think they're going to make Ogre Kingdoms. Like, Ogre Kingdoms was one of the main kind of fantasy tabletop armies. Also, this is dragging on a little bit now at this point. This Exalted Hero is kind of draw kiting. So I'm going to just go ahead and award this to Killerinu, I think. Because the Exalted Hero has been not attacking for a solid, like, 5 minutes. Almost. So, yeah, there's no reason to prolong this more than we need to. That was probably a minute and a half at least longer than it needed to be, but that's fine. Phoenix Guard actually, for once, doing something. Usually when I see them used, they just die, but actually here, this build was somewhat susceptible to them. I mean, the Chaos Warriors were a great play here. I don't know, J Phoenix, I think she only brought, what's it called? A Final Transmutation. I didn't see any Plague of Rust, which for me, potentially a mistake. I think you want to go, number one, a little bit wider. I would trade these 2 Horse Masters out for 3 regular Horsemen. Probably trade, you know, the Gorby's Chariot's nice thought, but maybe you take the Exalted Heroes on foot, trade down the Gorby's Chariot, and just go a little bit wider, and definitely bring a Plague of Rust, just because with the Rust effects active, the Phoenix Guard actually will take a lot of damage from just even like regular Chaos Warriors, obviously Mirror Guard, Chosen, stuff like that. Like, it's not a very efficient trade for them at all if you have that Armor Sundering effect. Yeah. The Lothern Sea Guard, all very, very valuable here. Lothern Sea Guard are great in this matchup as long as they can keep from getting torn up by, you know, like Mass Hounds or Infantry Spam or whatever else. The Spearmen got shreked, but that's mostly what they're here for. Silver Helms, one of them did a great job. The other one kind of got destroyed, but this one, chasing some routing units there, get some timely rear charges. Princess, MVP for sure. Huge fan of that. Big Bird did get quite a bit of value. He's pretty expensive, but yeah, the Chaos Warriors were a bright spot for sure. The Gorby's Chariot, you know, I kind of like it, but at the same time, I've grown less fond of chariots since the infantry bracing changes. They still can be good, but I don't know. Against this build where literally everything has anti-large that's not cavalry, maybe the best option for the Gorbeast would have been to just like help the cavalry fight, or to even just keep them back and try and mirror in the late game when the Princess comes down to the ground. I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, good game. Yeah, we'll wait and see. I'm very curious about all of the pre-order stuff. Like, and this is the thing, like, they have enough information to just slowly feed to us over time. That, okay, wow, we're really moving through this list here. We'll get Ice Power in next. Switch the map up. Let's go to Kislev. This map is now Kislev. Hailrot Ridge is in Kislev, if you didn't know. But yeah, hype. Hype. Matchups where War Lions are good. Maybe Coast. Weirdly enough. Anyone who you think is going to go Hound spam against you, actually, if you trade well into them, can be a bit tricky because they will outnumber you, but oftentimes, like Warriors of Chaos, they're good in quite a few matchups. They're just very micro-intensive. I don't know. My best guess is like kind of mid to late fall, maybe even early fall, like September. But I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. But going back to the armies, so Kislev I mentioned will be a cavalry army. Cathay is still kind of a mystery. I'm not really sure what style they'll end up playing, if they'll be like a balanced faction, if they'll be a more monster oriented faction, if they'll be a more magic oriented faction. If I had to guess, I'd probably say they're going to be most they'll be like Empire in many ways, but I think with not as good a cavalry. Like, I think they'll be more of a maybe like a monster focus. But kind of that similar kind of combined arms feel. Maybe almost like, like Elves too, but with more HP. Not as squishy. Yeah, I have a few games actually coming out over the next week or so featuring that Kislev mod. You guys will see that on the channel, because I was so hyped with the trailer, I literally went and played 3 games with Way using that mod, because it was that awesome. For me personally, Kislev, like, for my own playstyle, Cathay is cool, and like awesome for creative assembly that they kind of get to introduce the world to Cathay alongside Games Workshop for the first time. That's awesome. For me, though, Kislev is it's like a cavalry faction, right? They're like the frontline fighters against the War of Chaos always, right? Like, for them, the Chaos invasion almost never stops, right? Like, they're always fighting, and just the lore of them, the kind of the stylistic choices they've done as well, I'm a huge fan of. So yeah, Kislev for me. Dark Elves versus High Elves. Slaanesh is certainly pleased. Speaking of Slaanesh, Slaanesh will probably be the fastest of the Chaos factions. My guess is actually that Slaanesh is going to be the hardest to play. They're going to be the most glass cannon, because they'll probably be pretty squishy, but fast and hard hitting. So like the Wood Elves, basically, of of the Chaos Demons. Whereas Nurgle is kind of like the Vampire Coast, but obviously less shooting. They're going to be like extremely tanky, pretty slow, lots of debuffs to kind of drag you down to their level, right? Lots of attrition, kind of what I'm expecting from Nurgle. Cathay, I think, will have a little bit more of the fantasy elements. Like, again, if you watch this video, I posted it earlier from Warhammer TV, the people from Games Workshop talk a tiny bit about Cathay at the end. So definitely give that video a watch if you haven't. I'm going to do kind of a summary of some of the other, like there was also a PC Gamer article, I believe, that I need to read up. I haven't actually read that yet, but that plus this video, there's some other kind of tidbits that we could glean, so I might make a video about that in the next couple days. But yeah, Khorne is going to be just straight rush. Khorne is going to be potentially the weakest because it's the most limited, but it also could be like kind of easy to play against some factions because the rush will be so overwhelming. They're going to have very limited magic, if any at all, no missiles, just pure melee rush only. So my guess is they'll be very, fast and hard hitting as well, but with a little bit more staying power than Slaanesh and just more raw killing power. I don't know. From my perspective, purely for selfish YouTube monetization related reasons, I hope it's censored because I don't want to have to do too much editing. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is the lores of magic. The new demon lores of magic, the chaos lores. I really, really hope that Warriors of Chaos get access to those. I don't know if there's any reason why they shouldn't, but I'm not sure about Beastman and Norska. And I'm also curious to see kind of how they unify, or if they do anything to unify all the Chaos factions in the end times. All your units rampaged, yeah. Let's see. What is happening here? Late quack. Hey, late quack is still a quack. Yeah, I know. Generally I agree with you, Tam and 10, but unfortunately YouTube does not agree with that. Yeah. So if I want to be able to monetize videos, showcasing any Slaanesh stuff, I would prefer for it to be monetizable. Shut up, demon. Alright, let's see. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's Bird Teclis. Yes. Bird Teclis. We've also got Rangers. Looks like a bunch of, Lothern Seaguard and, 2 Cav units. What are these, Dragon Princes? For some reason the UI is being funky right now. Just don't zoom in. There we go. There's a solution. Uh-oh. Guess who it is? Yep, you saw it, the preview in chat there. It's the, Fear Spears. No. We've also got some Cold One Knights here, Blackhawk Corsairs, Cold One Knights. What is that? 1 Scourge Runner Chariot out on the flank there. 1 Hargoneth Executioner, too. The 2 Corsairs. Malice Darkblade. Of course, Malice has some Cold Ones. Be best to have a button for censored and uncensored. Yeah, that would be best. I agree with that. The pigeon bird is of death. Man, It's just, ugh. Yeah. I could go on a whole rant about Pigeon Teclis and how now, literally, they should just give OP mounts to every lord in the game. But I won't. I won't do that today. Even though I could. I kind of want to. But I won't. I won't say how Marcus needs a Griffin, or, you know, the Empire Huntsman General needs a Griffin, or how Gelt needs Steam Tank, or something. You know, he needs like 9 bound items and spells and abilities. And somehow self-healing also. Anyway, let's not get into that today. Hot Topic rides to war. Exactly. Oh, there's a Scourge Runner out on this flank too. How about that? Magic and ranged. I do think that Tzeentch has the most potential for ranged of any of the... Like, I expect him to be the shooty one and the magic one. I mean, shooty in quotations, as shooty as any chaos can be. But, ooh, is this going to be a net here dropped already from Teclis? Is he going to go attack now in melee, or is there just the Lothern Seaguard here? Fire, because the Lothern Seaguard will do some damage. 80 armor on the Scourge Runner Chariots is a bit, but you can see Malice is rushing up already. We've got some Cold One Knights pushing around the flank as well. Let's see what happens. Pigeon Teclis drops down, gets a little bit of damage in. Fortunately, the Kindle Flame and timing was not quite there. But he's going to have to be careful. If he gets trapped in here by these Scourge Runners and then the Cold One Knights come to play, that could be a bad time. And the Scourge Runners, you can see just Tokyo drifting Teclis as he tries to squeak away back up in the air. Dragon Prince is coming to hammer home against Malice. Keep him. Ooh, they also get a nice little chunk out of those Corsairs there. What is that? Word of Pain? Nope. Demon's Curse. This is going to damage Malice a little bit, but the dropping the melee defense in particular is quite good against High Elves. Help kind of counteract that martial prowess. These Dragon Princes did sweep out, try and get those Scourge Runner Chariots, but unfortunately did not. But here, nice straight-in charge from the Dragon Princes. They will take some damage from that, but Cold One Knights still have the most HP, and that huge 80 charge allows them to just wreck. They're going to get a rear charge here, even get some of those Executioners as well. So this is a really nice engagement for the High Elves. Regrowth also going to be used here on the damaged Dragon Princes, so Kill Renu definitely using those Dragon Princes to good effect, but will it end up mattering? Dark Riders, the Pewter Crossbows, pushed back by this staunch line of Lothern Seaguard. Cold One Knights also pushing, trying to get on them. But the infantry battle... Corsairs are an interesting play here. They are going to be a big power spike now where they can cut through a bunch of extra units, but Gilrenu is pretty well spread out. His Sea Guards, brain's starting to go. Anyway, those Sea Guards are just kind of hanging out. They're in a relatively safe position because they're so spread out. They can kind of turn and fire at various targets that punch through into this line here. They're not all going to be inundated at once. Oh, I hear a Manticore. I do hear a Manticore summon, maybe at a little bit late for Ice Power. I would have liked to have seen that a little bit sooner, but he does drop down now, and one of these Dragon Princes has been completely surrounded here. Cold One Knights are able to come in, and Dragon Princes are not immune to psychology, so they will get terrified here by that Feral Manticore. Great use of that. The one Dragon Prince is still alive, though. They did not... Oh, whoops. Excuse me. They did not have a charge order on those Dread Spears, but nonetheless, we're still able to just straight up pull through. Get a nice charge on the side of these Scourge Runner Chariots. One of them blows up. The other two are going to get terrified away, but here comes Malice. He's going to get a big old hit on Teclis. Malice hasn't really been threatened much. No real reason to use the Sarkhan summon. Demon's Curse puts Teclis down to 16 melee defense. And, yeah, sorry, something was distracting me on the side there. We're going to see a little bit of another Manticore summon from the Lore of Beasts. Teclis comes in to help deal with some of those Corsairs and so on. Lothern Seaguard fighting back. The Rangers fighting back. Yeah, the Repeater Crossbows come over. And this last unit of Dragon Princes is now very weak. Looking like they might give up the fight pretty soon. Balance power very close, if not slightly in the High Elves' favor. Mostly because Teclis is so healthy, but a really nice rear charge here from the Manticore to do some solid damage. Teclis, of course, with his physical resistance, because of why not? Why wouldn't he have 20% physical resistance up on his stupid bird? Only 50 armor. He will take some damage from that, but he's going to have to run away. Screen through his sea guards there. Manticore can follow him up in the air, of course, though, so that's potentially a problem. Manticore now drops down in a rear charge, though, on said sea guards. Takes a big old chunk out of him there, and really nice splash attack. Kills about 6 models, maybe. And that allows Teclis to then come in and try and finish off its handler, so to speak. But Malice turning into Zarkan in the late game could be a problem here. The High Elves are looking a little bit thin on the ground, although they are securing a pocket over here. Yeah, these High Elves coming in, fighting the Corsairs. Rangers actually take quite a bit of damage there, despite the physical resistance. Their lesser armor means the Corsairs just kind of trade well, especially without martial prowess. The Rangers don't have as good of base stats, so that lack of martial prowess there is a problem. But here comes Murder Teclis for a quick terror route. Good old Doctor Strange. Ah, yes. Good old Elves. One note I will say, I really hope they go back and add some Demons of Slaanesh units to Marathi's army, because that would just make too much sense, you know, considering she's the Cult of Pleasure and everything. And she has a whole mechanic where she spreads chaos, corruption in campaign. I really think that Marathi should get some Demons of Slaanesh in her roster. That'd be super cool. Give Dark Elves finally a fun, unique sub-faction. The High Elves have 2 fun, unique sub-factions. One of them has trees. The other one has Shadow Walkers. Dark Elves have none, though, which is sad. But Dark Riders putting up a good fight here, pulling away. You can see Ice Power kind of keeping his forces together as much as possible, which is the right idea. See regrowthing Rangers, 16 Rangers? That has to be a misclick. Oh yeah, he probably was trying to click that on those Lothern Sea Guard right there, or maybe on Teclis himself, I'm not really sure, but that's definitely a mistake. Oh, I would love that, Kirill. That sounds awesome. Yeah. Some kind of mechanics. I'm very curious to see what the chaos mechanics are. They should be wild. Should be wild. Ooh, starting to get a little tired. Might have to have some caffeine here in a minute. Maybe get up and go stretch my legs in the break. Yeah. Yeah, man. Tzeentch, for me, it's gonna be good. Like Greater Arcane Conduit casters for Warriors of Chaos, or not even for Warriors of Chaos, but for Chaos itself. Oh, yeah. Epic stream. Oh yeah, thanks Red Legion, appreciate it, man. Good to see you, as always. Look at this. Got Lothern Sea Guards here. They've got a pretty good defensive position, and Ice Power's got some trouble in that he's gonna have a hard time approaching. Yeah, just kind of corral his forces together, but everything's so low. Like, yeah, just taking the damage on these Rangers all the meantime. These Dark Riders are gonna probably just be taking shots, and yep, they do rout pretty quickly there. Not a big surprise. Now Ice Power's gotta figure out a way to get some of his melee units in there. He's gonna come forward now, and Killerinu doing exactly what he should, just kind of hanging out right here, firing at whatever units come within range. Malice could be a problem here. The Zarkan summon's still in the pocket, and Killerinu's, you know, a lot of his forces are infantry-based, besides Teclis, so Teclis is going to go for it. Does he have a net or an enfeebling foe, at least, to proc a Kindle Flame? He does not. He does come in for a nice big charge. Good charge, bonus 58 charge on the Murder Bird there. Oh, Malice, here he goes. He's going to use the Blood Price, and here comes Zarkan's summon. Cold One Knights do not have a surround, unfortunately, but the Soul Stealer effect does get dropped. Zarkan now immediately going to rush probably and try and get at these infantry here. Yep, immediately goes into the Rangers there. You see the Cold One Knights peel back and go after the Dragon Princes, making sure that they are not allowed around to try and kite. Another good drop from Teclis, some terror routes there, and suddenly Malice is all by himself. Zarkan here. Even still, Teclis probably does not want to stand and fight Malice while he's in Zarkan form. Zarkan is quite strong as a combatant here. So yeah, instead the Lothern Sea Guard are just going to light him up. 15% missile resistance, 110 armor means he won't take too much damage there. But look at the balance of power spike from that Zarkan summon, man. As long as Killerinu is able to kind of weather the storm. Yeah. More Lures of Magic for the non-order factions would be nice as well. Yeah, I agree, for sure. I mean, Lore of Life, maybe not, but... I don't know, does Lore of Nurgle have healing? I want to say Lore of Nurgle has healing. But, yeah, you can see how Killerinu is just kind of feeding these Lothern Sea Guard one at a time here to Malice. Like, this other one's out of ammo now, so it's moving in while the other one tries to screen back. It's good stuff. Alright, yeah, Teclis just continuing to chase routing units. We'll keep Zarkan kind of in the foreground. I think, you know, chasing these routing units is definitely the right play for a number of reasons. Number one, it's creating quite a bit of separation between these kind of higher value units and Zarkan, right? Which means he's going to have to peel and go try and chase them if he wants to finish things off. Balance power more and more is going in the High Elves' favor. The one thing about Malice in the Palace. I'm getting kind of tired, guys. I need to do some stretching in the break here. My apologies, but wow. Another donation. Tam and 10 with another 50. Wow. Big thanks, man. Let me pull up Streamlabs and read your kind message here. The Lothern Sea Guard are starting to go down, though. They're routed one more. This other one still has a few things to fire at. Just a handful more arrows left, and there's the last of it. Actually shooting the sorceress there, which is the right call. Now here comes Teclis. Teclis and his retinue of, 4 Dragon Princes and 21 Rangers to come bail out these Lothern Sea Guard. Zarkan's just about done for anyway. He's getting tired too. It's hard, when you're a demon in an elf's body. Oh, just the one hitter quitter from Teclis right in the face. Brutal stuff, man. Brutality. Oh man, it'd be fun if the murder birds actually had some kind of animation where they like pick the guy up off the horse, or the cold one in this case, and throw him around. Anyway, well played to both. I believe we have maybe 1 or 2 more that I have promised to be on stream, and then yeah, we're gonna get Honey Nut in here. And then possibly Slade. We'll see. We'll see how actually tired I am after that one, but yes. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for this last competitor to join, I will go ahead and just take a break for just a second, enjoy some Medieval 2 music in the meantime. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. And we got Honey Nut in here. And stream is held up fine today. No dropped frames, which I'm quite happy with. Unfortunately, can only stream in 1080, I think, but unless I need to tinker around with my settings a little bit more. Yep. Looking at some stuff. Yeah, 60 frames though. I don't know if you guys can tell the difference. Some of you probably can, some of you won't be able to. But, anyway, I was gonna go look at this. Yes, yes. Time Machine Anthem. Oh, man. Pawn power, yes. Yeah, I mean, if they want to make money, that's the other thing too, is if Creative Assembly wants to make all the money, it's up to them, you know? If they want to make these things, and if Sega and Games Workshop want to make all the money, but I couldn't see them not doing the pawn. Yeah, I mean, Teclis and Nostalgia are already in the Warhammer 3 map, so... or the Warhammer 2 map, and if it's going to be including the High Elves, the Dark Elves, Lizard, and it has to go all the way to Lustria, so yes, it will be in the map. I'm really hoping that they will be a DLC faction. I really, really hope so. Yeah, I would prefer to see Dogs of War before Nippon, maybe, but also, I mean... let's be honest. Like I said, I would buy 30 DLCs for this game. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Speaking of yes, yes, I'm wondering how long it'll be before we get a Skaven, you know, rework in quotations. In all actuality, though, this is something I was thinking about, is some other factions, like Bretonnia, need more fleshing out. Like, Bretonnia doesn't... they have literally 2 hero types, right? Like, they just... some of the factions need some love, and one of the reasons they don't have that much is because they didn't have that much in tabletop, right? Like, Bretonnia, like, Norska was never a faction in the tabletop, right? So, like, factions like Bretonnia, Norska, obviously Beastman needs a rework, probably more than anyone else, but even in Game 3's life cycle, like Dwarfs, you know, a lot of the Game 1 factions still need some updating. I'm really hoping we get a Bretonnia rework at some point, like... yeah, I mean, they updated their campaign to be, you know, functional, basically, and also gave Response, which was nice, but I would love for a full Bretonnia rework, and even like a Bretonnia... I know Bretonnia is like the forever free faction, so I don't know if they would ever do a full-on Bretonnia DLC, but just, if we have to figure out a way to pay for it by selling a DLC that's maybe like tangentially related to Bretonnia, I don't know, but... to get maybe just like a handful of new units. So this would literally, it sounds like I'm selling a Lord pack, but I would buy it. Like maybe 1 or 2 new legendary lords, a new generic lord type, a new generic hero type. I would be happy with that. Give Dark Elves more stats. There we go. That sounds like a solution. Yeah, well, and them being, like, since the Warhammer Old World update will include Britonia, right? It has to, right? The Old World Resurgence, like, has to have Britonia, right? Like, I think they've even confirmed it's on the map and so on. So I'm really hoping that as a result of that, like, Games Workshop will actually design some new official stuff, kind of like what we're seeing with Kislev, right, where they are officially designing the stuff and giving it, you know, its tabletop treatment at the same time. I'm really hoping we get some new stuff for Britonia. Yeah, exactly. Now that Games Workshop is working on Warhammer again, they can fill the holes in those armies. Exactly. Dark Elves are not missing any units. They are missing a handful of characters, but they're not missing any units. No. Not that I know of. They can invent units, yes. I mean, they did for the Wood Elves, and, like, Zotes exist, but they're from, like, 2nd edition, and their models look terrible. At least they did. But I'm a big fan of Zotes, the way they updated them and implemented them. So, like, maybe they could reach into the Monstrous Arcanum and get, like, a Chimera, or, you know, there's some other monsters, some other fantasy monsters that are not in the game yet. Those could be given to a few different factions. Dark Elves, because they have the Beastmasters, kind of, they can get a lot of those monsters. Yeah, they could always invent more units, too, yeah. Yeah, the question is, what would you do, though? I don't know. I'd have to talk to some lore experts, people who know more about lore than me, really give you some good speculation on that. Like, maybe there's, like, because I want to say the Nasty Skulker was actually, like, the unit captain for goblins or something, or, like, there's a few units that were either, like, a unit from, like, Mordheim, or, like, a captain of a unit, or, like, there's a handful, like those ones, or, like, Blade Singers, you know, like, there's a few units that are, like, they basically take, like, a captain, or, like, a lower level, you know, whatever, like, a unit commander, I guess. It would be a better name for it. Battle Standard Bearer, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, Cult of Pleasure. Yeah, that'd be nice to expand them. Give them some Slanesh demons. What else? Yeah, in terms of updates, Empire, of course, has a ton of stuff they could add still. Dwarfs actually do have quite a bit of stuff they could add, believe it or not. At least a handful of things. Vampire counts, not really, although I will say vampire counts, I'm curious to see what they're going to do about the Nagash situation, and with kind of all the undead. I wouldn't be surprised if they release some DLC that has, I don't know if Nagash would be necessarily a playable character, but like somehow have him make an appearance and kind of have an interesting unified undead roster. Probably no constructs, but it might have, you know, skeleton archers like Nayakara horsemen, maybe a handful of the vampire counts units as well, again minus like blood knights and maybe minus some of the Strigoi specialty stuff. I don't know. It would be interesting to have like kind of a combined undead faction where they pick and choose certain things, like the weakest stuff from each faction, basically. I don't know. Old edition units. Okay. Units from books. And they could always, that's where they've pulled a lot of stuff from when they need to make up things. Like for Norska, they pulled a lot of that from various, you know, sources, so they always can. I just think it's more obvious for them to do the DLCs stuff with actual missing, factions with actual missing stuff. Like Lizardmen, for example. Lizardmen have the Troglodyte missing, right? Which is like one big kind of main centerpiece that you could theme the DLC around. Undead Skaven Pirate Lord. True Lamian Lord, yeah. Oh, and there's like, I think there's a Kislevic character, I want to say, that's a vampire, and there's like also, I think there's a Southern Realms character, I think a Border Princess character that's a vampire. It could be interesting for the Neferata update to do like vampires in other factions too. I don't know if that would even be possible, but it could be interesting, like the infiltration, since the Lamians are all about, you know, I believe, right? Correct me if I'm wrong on this, guys, but they're all about like looking pretty, like infiltrating the higher levels of society and kind of, you know, going about their business that way. Look at this build, though, man. Killerinu going all out with the Cult of Pleasure Naked Ladies build. We've got double Medusa here, a bunch of Witch Elves, Sisters of Slaughter, and Marathi. Just straight up in a rush. That is quite interesting. 4 Skeleton Horseman Archers are going to be a great play here. Same with these Skeleton Archer Chariots. Obviously didn't see the army selections beforehand, but man, this is good. Cetra, the actually perished now. He is undead once again on his chariot. Skeleton Archers. Got some columns of Skeleton Spearmen here. His deployment is wild, man. We've got some Nakara Horsemen. Yes, the Slayer engineer who makes insane killing machines. And the insane killing machine that he makes, the Goblin Hewer, is an actual tabletop unit. This is very important. You all need to see this. Yeah, when you search the Goblin Hewer, it pulls up Total War Forums post about this thing, but just Google Goblin Hewer here. Even just this. Just literally Google Goblin Hewer. And you'll see a hilarious Slayer artillery piece, which is just beautiful in every single way and should be in the game. And not only that, they could add generic Slayer Lord, generic Slayer Hero, and there's even another unit Lore Master of Sotek kind of mentioned to me. It's like basically there's a different school of thought, like a different philosophy basically for Slayers, where some of them believe rather than killing the biggest, baddest monster, these are Slayers who have seen like the hordes of Skaven and the hordes of Chaos. They've said, you know, instead of killing the biggest, baddest monster we can find, we're gonna get the highest KD ratio, you know, full-on MLG COD status that we possibly can. And look at this, these chariots getting enraged already. That's really not great. This chariot also kind of at risk of being enraged, but the Skeleton Horseman Archers paying absolute dividends at this point. Literally every single arrow they shoot is going to be at a high value target, so that's awesome for them. Yes. Yeah, Empire Engineer Hero, Lore of Metal Wizard. They're also missing the Hawkland Long Rifles and Knights of the White Wolf. So there's like multiple DLCs they could do for each faction. And I'm planning on putting together some like DLC pitch videos soon. I already kind of did one about Sirtha Ek to a degree. But yeah, you could do one themed around like Empire, like artillery and machines. And same thing with dwarfs. You could do one themed around dwarf engineers, give gyrocopter mounts, maybe give the golems everyone's been crying about. Oh man, that explosion! Oh, that was painful. That just did a ton of damage to those packed up light infantry. But anyway, what was I saying? Something about, oh yeah, DLCs. For a lot of the old world factions, there's DLCs that they could do. And the golems were never an official thing, but it's been something that people have complained about for long enough, they could potentially consider adding it. Or the Death Roller, you know, that's something from Blood Bowl, but they added the Zote to Blood Bowl, basically, from Total War Warhammer, right? So why not add Death Roller from Blood Bowl to Total War Warhammer, right? Or, yeah, they added the Zote from Warhammer to Blood Bowl. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, so Death Roller would be awesome in the engineering DLC. That would be, again, another great, like, kind of centerpiece unit. Thunder Barges, potentially. I mean, there's just so much. Undead Rampage glitch. Oh, yeah. So, did you know that units which are Rampage do not suffer crumbling damage? So, if we zoom in close here on these Skeleton Spearmen, you can see a little bit hard to tell, but they're not actually taking any crumbling damage, which is a big problem for taking a build like this. Because, you know, all these units that should be crumbling, in fact, are not. Maybe. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I do think that the Thunder Barge could potentially be a balance issue, but at the same time, it'd be fun. Or disintegration damage. Really? That's hilarious. I wonder how you know that. Yeah. Yeah, you could do a Slayer DLC and like an engineering DLC for the dwarves. You could do an engineering DLC for the Empire. You could also do like a Midland Ulrich DLC for the Empire. Let's see, for Wood Elves, they're pretty much done. We can forget about them forever. I'm just kidding, no. But really, they are done. I mean, they had to make up stuff to add to them anyway. Yeah, Warriors of Chaos is one of the more interesting cases. What exactly they'll do with them remains to be seen, but I'm assuming that they'll give a lot of the god-specific Warriors units to Archaon's Horde. Norska, too, they could just give more monsters from the Monstrous Arcanum, you know, maybe make up some stuff, maybe give them a couple of demon units as well. It's hard to say exactly what they'll do, Chaos factions, but in terms of the non-Chaos factions, Greenskins also have stuff they could add. Greenskins, if they want to add weapon variants for Greenskins, they could literally add as many units as they want, but I doubt they'll do that. I mean, they did make up the Rogue Idol, and like there's some other things too, like the single entity Squig, right? That they could potentially add, the Colossal Squig, or whatever it's called. You know, there's a couple things they could add for Greenskins. Greenskins, I could see maybe one more DLC. Especially like a Squig-themed DLC where you get the Colossal Squig, maybe like the Spitter Squig. I mean, we already have Squig Hoppers and Squig Herds, but I don't know. Maybe you make the Super Squig an actual unit you can use in multiplayer. Marathi at this point does not want to go down, though. Her and her, wow. Her and this Medusa are just holding out. And funny enough, I think Marathi can probably solo this entire Tomb King's army. Yeah, Archaons might get minor demons, but I'm saying, like, you know, if there's, like the Skull Crushers, for example, that we saw, or the, what are they, the Juggernauts, I think they're called as well. The warriors riding those kind of mechanical monstrosities that we saw in the trailer, those are warriors units, right? Like, those mounts can be ridden by both the Bloodletters and by, like, Champions of Khorne, right? So I'm assuming that maybe if we get a Demons Undivided faction, that they'll have a version that's being ridden by Bloodletters, whereas Archaon potentially could get access to the ones that are being ridden by Warriors, right? And I don't know if there are going to be other units as well, like for Slaanesh. There'll be, like, you know, Warriors of Slaanesh or whatever else. It'll be interesting to see what they do. What they do. But like Khorne Berserkers, right? Like some of the god-specific units, I could see them adding to, if they're warriors, you know, if they're non-demon units, non-demon god-specific units, I could see them getting added. We'll see. Oh yeah, I believe they're aware of it. I think they've become aware of it over the last while, if they weren't aware of it before, but oh yes, Marathi fighting a blob of skeletons. This is how it goes. She's not even doing any attack orders. Come on, Marathi, you got this. You just gotta maul this blob. Will take some time, but... yeah, we'll see. Personally, I would like for them to add those units to the Warriors of Chaos, because it would be a nice way for them to update the roster, give them some more stuff, some more tools to play with. But I do want them to get a full-on campaign rework and like mechanics rework and everything. Yes, I agree with that. Let's see though. Whoops. Marathi, can she hold out up against the Doom Blob? Yeah, it happens because Undead Crumbling is completely balanced. Completely balanced. I'm assuming the fermented fungi also does the same thing, right? Like any enrage effect. But man, this could take some time. Tetra is coming in and cycle charging though, trying his best. Oh, he gets some good hits in here too. Marathi's quickly approaching her healing cap. She might only have one more Soul Stealer left. If she's actually been spending... she only has that though. Yeah. In terms of Winds of Magic. One more Soul Stealer could potentially win this if she gets all the Tomb King's units, and especially Cetra. But Marathi just holding on to it for the time being. But the Marks is something I really hope they... yeah, and she routes. There it is. So, wow, Kilrinu running the table just about and going until the very end until he gets bested. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Wow, look at Marathi. 238 kills. Absolutely insane. The Naked Women's did not do so well, but that's just how it goes sometimes. I do say one of them actually did decently and actually paid for itself, which is surprising. Cetra also, absolute beast on the chariot here, running through all of the infantry. Everything else was just kind of here, but the Skeleton Horseman Archers had a field day. Super cost-effective here for the Bony Boys. The Archer Chariots also did okay. Carrion, Ushabti doing their part as well. Pink and blue horrors are only in 40k. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll see. They might get added. I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing, but this is pretty much it for today, guys. Thank you all for watching. Any more thoughts about Game 3 before I run off? Any questions for me or, you know, points you'd like to make? I personally am really hyped. We've pretty much talked about all the factions and kind of some expectations about what I think their playstyles would be. If you missed it, you can go back and watch some of the discussion in battle and in between battles as well. Yeah, they exist in Age of Sigmar too, but I don't know if they were ever in Fantasy. Envision Archaon skipping through a field of pink and blue horrors. Man, yeah, the Warriors of Chaos is one of the most interesting things to keep your eye on. And the pre-order bonus as well, I haven't really speculated too much about that in this video, but they said it'll be a race pack, and I needed to go back and double-check exactly what the definition of those are. If that's going to be a full-on, you know, new faction. I assume so, but we'll see. I don't know who it could be, though. I mean, maybe Ogres, I could see that. Although, because of the way the Warriors of Chaos thing, like, back in the day, if you remember, for Total War Warhammer 1, Warriors of Chaos were the pre-order kind of early adopter bonus. And, anyway. So, I doubt they would... like, Ogres are a pretty popular faction. I don't know if they would necessarily lock them. Behind that, like, I don't know. I'm almost wondering if it's like a weird kind of sub-faction type deal, almost like Norska was, but I don't know. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. Yeah, thank you guys. Oh, they are in Fantasy. Okay. Yeah, my pleasure, Wicked. You think Dark Elves will get Slanesh Demons? I don't know. I really hope so, at least for the Cult of Pleasure sub-faction, if nothing else. But, yeah, it remains to be seen. I will certainly be pushing for that, for Marathi in her sub-faction to at least get a couple Slanesh Demons. If not the greater ones, a couple of the lesser ones. Size of Game 3 map will also be twice the size of Game 2. Yeah, right? That's crazy to think about. The map is going to be insanely ginormous. And another point about that, they really do need to implement like some kind of fast travel system where you can sail around the oceans to various points, a la Cold War Empire, which if you have not played, it's kind of set in the 1700s of, our own world, and it has a mechanic where you can sail across the seas to different theaters of war using these designated zones. I really think they're going to need something like that, considering the size of the map for Total War Warhammer 3, but that all remains to be seen. Do you think we're getting a Beastmen DLC before Total War Warhammer 3? Yes. I do think they said, they confirmed in the FAQ, there's one more DLC for Total War Warhammer 2, and I think it's gotta be Beastmen. Beastmen versus Lizardmen is where my money's at on that one. But yeah, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, night, wherever you're at in the world. Thank you so much for joining. It's been my absolute pleasure. And we'll see you guys next time. Oh, once again, if you are planning on pre-ordering the game, be sure to check out, I have an official affiliate store on nexus.gg/dovplays. You can pre-order the game there. You still get the pre-order bonus. You just get a Steam key. And it's all above board. It's all legit, verified. In fact, Creative Assembly has kind of set up the program with Nexus specifically for us. So, yeah, big thanks to all that. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.